strong day one. They just need to fall back to their jungler because he is an absolute god. Yutapon performs well, don't get me wrong, but it's all on the back of Astaroth.
Yeah, so we'll certainly see if they can do well later. We're actually going to start moving on to the next game. Chiefs versus Dark Passage are coming up next, and that looks to be a very thrilling match. Chiefs can decide the fate of Dark Passage with this game.
That is exactly right. If the Chiefs win, they are 5-1 for the end of this. But if Dark Passage lose, they're out. They are no longer in contention for the finals, and it's a very important game for Dark Passage, more so than Chiefs, because they've already made it into the finals. So very important coming into this game. Dark Passage need to step up.
Yeah, they certainly do. And let's actually take a look at some of those matchups. I think the most important one that we wanted to hit on was going to be in the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. Naru is a force to be reckoned with in that middle lane. He's the shot caller, is the big carry of the team. But Swiffer as well, he has really stepped up. Showed some strength on Victor. Definitely looks strong. But when he gets that Ahri, it is disgusting how good he performs. So you look at this mid lane matchup, it all comes down to how they both perform in laning phase. If Swiffer wins lane, it feels like all of Dark Passage are very scattered from there on out, and they really struggle to actually move around the map. And this is where the Chiefs find their strengths. But if Naru can get going, if he can get the farm, if he can get a 0 as an example, and just get through that early phase, he can shot call for his team. He can be that rock that they look for and genuinely get them to victory.
Yeah, we saw what happened yesterday when Naru takes pressure, the whole team suffers. So we'll have to see if he's able to pull it together in this game, because currently he's going up against arguably the best team in the IWC. Currently they're #1 in the standings.
No, definitely. They're doing very well. And you have to admit, the biggest factor as to why it didn't work for them yesterday was that Ejim Thresh made their life miserable.
Yeah, well, we're going to throw it back to the guys at the desk to get us into game. Oh, no, we're not
just
doing
kidding.
that.
There's a replay.
Yeah, there's another replay.
Yeah, so this is the one from yesterday. Of course, this is exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
This is actually how it all started in their last game. A big mistake from the Chiefs. But funnily enough, half of the kills the Dark Passage basically get from that whole game in this one moment. So we'll just start this one out. And Spooks tries to get the parallel convergence down, make that chronosphere and see if there's anybody in the bush, but they walk out too aggressively before it actually connects. Dark Passage just hide on the other side of the red buff. Does stun them, but the damage is already done in terms of having a Braum. So keep a special eye on the Braum passive. Finds a stun here from a flash auto. Not only that, it connects with Swiper just after, finds a second stun. And this Dark Passage team comp was not that great at level 1 unless they found a stun from Braum. That's exactly what they found. But a big hiccup from the Chiefs.
Yeah, most certainly with that one. We've actually got another replay, and that was the game where Ejim went huge. He landed hook after hook. It's a little bit later in the game at this point, though.
Yeah, 100%. We'll roll this one out, and Ejim and the rest of Chiefs are just destroying their opponents. Raider doing an underrated amount of damage on that Sivir. He is decimating anyone that gets in a localized area of his auto attacks. Legendary right now for his team. Swiffer got Ahri. This is the first time we saw him play Ahri, and it was yesterday against Dark Passage. Look at the scoreline, 25-4. Look at last game's scoreline, something absurd also. You do not give Swiffer Ahri where he feels the most comfortable and could just run through the team.
Yeah, so much damage. Elwin's the last one to get caught. Naru played well on that Diana, but just wasn't quite able to keep himself together, keep his team to victory with all the pressure Ejim was putting on the mid lane.
Yeah, rumor has it Naru's still pushing in that bottom lane to this very day. We were yet to see him actually group up with the rest of his team. He was desperate, and this, again, plays into the mentality of Naru, plays into how Dark Passage actually play when he is behind. He picked Diana after he lost to Diana, and then he lost lane, so he started split pushing. No way to shot call for your team if you're on the other side of the lane and you are losing.
Yeah, tricky situation, but now the casters are ready. We're going to toss it back. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Seda and Rusty, and welcome back to the casting desk, everyone. We've got Jake Spawn Tabiri back in. We've got Ryan Fresco still here on the desk. And the Chiefs, they pushed through to the final. One more game left to play, and still important.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I just want to raise what they were mentioning with the Ahri pick, because the last time that the Chiefs played a Turkish team, they actually picked Ahri. And we were on some weird Nunu Vlad combo. We don't speak about that anymore, but they went absolutely to town on us. This time around, Swift is picking up his assassins and performing so much better.
Yeah, he's been looking really strong, and I didn't mind his victor in day one. It's certainly a pick that he's played a lot of, that he feels comfortable on, but it's just not been the same impact. I know you said it, Frosco, and watching some of these players play like Spooks, like Swiffer, on these more aggressive champions just feels like night and day almost.
Yeah, entirely. And I think it goes back to the fact that the Chiefs, to me, read as a very proactive team. I think their identity for this tournament is that the Chiefs, when you look at them, they're very matured in terms of their macro strategy, their map movements, how they prep objectives, how they move around the map, identifying the correct objectives to take. It's just their execution that they tend to struggle with. So they're doing the right thing, but it's like a 50-50. Did they actually execute it? Did they hit the skill shot? Were they there on time? And the aggressive champions just allow them to be more proactive because they're winning just that easier in the 1v1 lane and then translating that pressure into other points of the map. So if he gets Ari, he wins the mid lane, they translate that into contesting the blue buff.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the other thing you have to look at is control mages are famous for their 2-3 item spikes. Assassins are normally 1 item spikes. And the way that these games are breaking down, we're not getting like the normal play nicely, move around the map, like dance with each other. All right, everyone has 3 items, bow, fight. Like this is like as soon as everyone has half an item, they're going at each other. And who would you rather have but a highly mobile assassin mage with great wave clear and pick potential, which is huge at the moment because you can see anytime that they've got like something Leona and Ari, Elise, they're just always coming up with that edge of a CC ability that just wipes someone off the map. And it's not just the Chiefs. You can say that about everyone else. Like, Diana holds true in the same regard. We've seen her be so successful because Nash's or Abyssal, whichever she goes first, she turns into a wrecking ball, either in a team fight or in a split-pushing situation. So really expect these 1-item spiking champions to continue to come out. Lucian, Jinx, I could just name a million of them right now that are doing work around Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, and I think Dark Passage, knowing that this is a very crucial game for them. Of course, if they lose, they're out of the tournament. And the Chiefs, having secured that spot, do still want to try and take somebody out because I think Dark Passage, especially in a best-of-5, they're so experienced that they have to be thinking, if we can knock them off now in a best-of-1, that's perfect because having to play you in an extended set, probably not what they want.
I love that you brought up that fact, that the Chiefs have the ability to shape who they face across from the finals. Naturally, if they beat Dark Passage here, the game between Detonation Focus Me and Bangkok Titans following will determine who faces off across from them. But Dark Passage have so much history and experience coming out on top in these best-of-5s since they've been, I mean, Turkey's sent most of the representatives from the International Wildcard Tournament.
Yeah, exactly right. And I just want to reiterate is, as sad as I guess the result is going to be for Dark Passage if they lose this game, this is a class team. I cannot speak highly enough of the players on there. And, you know, everyone has bad tournaments. They're looking to, like, push through and hopefully make the finals still. But the Chiefs, they're going to look down the lineup and still probably fear Dark Passage the most out of everyone because they didn't close out cleanly against them last time.
And just trying to echo what Spawn's saying here, I think it was more so not that Dark Passage had a bad tournament. I mean, obviously there's some hit and miss performance there, but I don't think anyone really expected the amount of leveling up that the other regions, Japan in particular, the Bangkok Titans this time around coming prepared because it wasn't on a technicality, the Chiefs taking back their lane swap, upgrading their macro strategy over the course of the OPL season, and coming back with some of the map plays that we've seen in the last game.
Yeah, we mentioned it day one, cross-pollination is so important to new teams. Being able to take what you learned back to your region, mix it up. You know, they even had a roster swap because they decided the 5 people that they had ran for so long just wasn't working out. You know, we saw Rosie go into the top lane, do great things, but Ejim on the Chiefs now is just performing out of this world in this LAN tournament. So completely agree. You know, credit to the Turkish team, but everyone else certainly has stepped up this tournament.
They really have, and this tournament's been absolutely awesome. World's on the line, of course, so a big tournament to try and take home, but we're not even at the finals yet. Still waiting to see who's going to be playing up against the Chiefs. And if Dark Passage win here, and they must win here, it's going to be a big scrap down the bottom of the heap, but we are going to move into Champ Select now. Dark Passage on the blue side for this game. Chiefs over on the red. Elise, Shen are the first 2 bans, and Rek'Sai is taken off Crystal.
I actually really like that ban against Crystal. We've been saying it all these 2 days. Crystal has like a 64% pick rate of Rek'Sai, which is just absolutely absurd. So taking that one away from him, putting him on a different champion, get a different look from him.
Not to mention we've said how important proactiveness is, but Crystal's a great counter ganker on the Rek'Sai because of the vision that it provides as people set up for those games.
Presence.
Yeah. So being able to take that one off means that the Chiefs can be a little bit more proactive around the map.
Yeah, Rek'Sai's just like Just a fun police, honestly. Every time you want to do an invade or get aggressive, Rek'Sai's there ruining your day. As Kallista's actually the blue side ban
These
from Dark Passage.
teams know something that I do not, because all of the staple bans are now on blue side. And again, when we talk about why is blue side winning more, it's because purple side is typically forced into staple ban because blue side gets the first pick, the priority pick, which then you then slot into Kallista, slot into Shen, to Elise. But for some reason, it's topsy-turvy day at the International Wildcard.
Well, the thing is that I can answer the Shen because Turkey as a region love bruisers over anything else and not the pure tank. The Kallista Elise for me is their champions you have to pick up because they're that strong in the current meta that if you don't going into a tournament, exactly this happens and you get pigeonholed into 2 bans that you don't want to make.
And Diana, the ban there from Chiefs, actually taking it out from Naru, who had 1 play on it yesterday. They beat it yesterday, but like we mentioned, it was a tough game and 20 seconds left for Dark Passage to decide, is this the first pick they want to go for? Elwin used to be a mid laner, I believe, and he's going to take his Fizz.
Yeah, just to echo what Atlas has been saying pretty much all day, it's that you cannot let Elwin have Fizz. This is his signature champion.
Well, there's Thresh and
Bangkok
Gragas as a
Titan
response.
style.
Yeah, going straight for those priority picks. But Elwin's already swapped to the Ignite. You know he's going to be a threat.
Ejim getting his Thresh, however, he's been pretty much the massive playmaker, at least for me when I look across the Chiefs lineup, setting the pace from level 1.
Yeah, definitely agree with that, and I want to know what Swiper plays against the Fizz now. You know the Heat plays it himself. He's a huge Fizz player. You know, we saw in the Oceanic Finals some Tahm Kench run into it. That didn't go too well, so I'm not expecting that to come out of the top laner of the Oceanic squad. As you take a look at Spooks on your screen, Crystal
like
also looking at the Echo.
And there's Alistar actually. Not really a denial pick because Ejim already has the Thresh for himself. But Crystal's considering his Rek'Sai's taken away. He's played a lot of Rek'Sai this tournament, and I think he's played some Gragas as well. So we'll have to change things up here. But Dark Passage, they do. They take away the Ahri.
I actually really like this pickup. There's no reason to take the jungler unless you want to hide your pick, try to get some sort of counter matchup in either the top or the mid lane. But deciding that they don't want to let Swiffer get his hands on that Ahri again.
So let's see what the Chiefs go with. Gut feeling says it's going to be
Twisted
Lulu
Fate.
Orianna. They play a really good carry comp with Radiant, and they like to run Lulu top lane into Assassin pick, so we'll see whether they can make it work out. But yeah, they can just give nothing away. Remember, this is just to kick the Turkish team out of the squad, so maybe they just run a global comp, something like a Twisted Fate, and try and run them around the map.
I'm really glad that you brought up that point, that there's really nothing at risk here for the Chiefs other than possibly not facing across from Dark Passage in a best-of-5 later on. So there is no reason to really overextend their strategy and reveal something that they may be holding for the finals.
It's definitely a free roll, which is always nice in any tournament situation where things are just going your way. But they are going to take Maokai Tristana and give the mid lane pick last.
The thing about Maokai into Fizz is it's pretty much a free lane for Fizz.
Yeah, it certainly is, but he's also a much better lane swapper. And the one thing that we've complimented Chiefs on all tournament long so far is their ability to move around the map, and you would think that they're not going to let Elwin do what he wants to do to Swiper up there in the top lane. They're probably going to get the deep wards and see if they can chase him around the map.
We'll see if Elwin makes the move towards Smite as opposed to that Ignite there in response.
Yeah, that's actually a really good pickup there, especially with W. Smite Fizz jungles really quickly. So being able to team up with whatever Crystal wants to take, especially if it is something like an Eve that has a rougher couple of levels in the jungle, would be really important for Elwin to be able to contribute there, but still sticking with the Ignite.
Well, 10 seconds or so left for Dark Passage. Bridal taunts me, but Fiddlesticks will move away now to the Avalon that they hovered earlier. 5 seconds left now for Dark Passage, running out of time to make these picks. Down to the wire for their possible last draft of the tournament. Zeitnot does do it. He goes to Vayne, and Lee Sin's there for Crystal.
We've been talking about this all day. Zeitnot's Vayne is incredible. The mechanical ceiling on this AD carry player is out of this world, and I'm super excited to see him just go ham.
Yeah, I certainly am as well. And this really opens up the Twisted Fate pick now, however.
As the counter to Vayne, naturally the Destiny and how it interacts with her final hour.
Yeah, being able to light it up, make sure that Swiper can tie her down there with the Twisted Advance. Allow Spooks and Radiator to unload there, see if they can get her off the map, because once that goes down, you know, there's still a lot of pick potential, but not really the hyper scaling that you expect to come out of a team like Dark Passage, although finally they're running a really good 3-threat comp, so I'm looking forward to see how this one does eventuate.
Was this the matchup that Swiffer played? Sorry, did he play Twisted Fate into Ahri last time?
Yeah, he did it against
G4,
G4.
Right? Okay, so I think you guys mentioned it then. It does carry some associated risk, and maybe that's what they're thinking, because he's actually going to last pick the Victor here.
Yeah, so I actually spoke to Swiffer overnight, and he said that he is super confident on his victory. He was like, I acknowledge that I played blank, but I still am really, really confident that I am able to take this matchup and do good things with it. So glad to see that as a confidence booster, he is running it in the final game. As we said, this is kind of a free roll, so building any kind of momentum, especially if this is something he wants to play in a best of 5, because they do believe on how the zone control works with their team. It is something that they need to be able to pull off.
And the beautiful thing about Victor is his massive AoE damage, but just the upfront burst. Again, if you're facing across from a LeBlanc, she has the damage where she can just delete someone off the map, but it's one person. Victor almost gets that exact same amount of damage, but he can hit it across multiple people, especially if they're in a choke point.
And what I want to point out is when we see this matchup, we have seen it a lot worldwide. We normally see the cleanse on Victor because the idea is you face tank the charm, Ari dashes forward to you,
Boom.
and then you just like cleanse unload, and she generally dies because Victor does a lot of damage. But this time, going with the Ghost, the double mobility summon is trying to get around the map a little bit quicker.
Yep, doesn't want to be left hanging in the sidelines when his team's maybe going on some sort of skirmish. But it's great. I love the team comes that they've got here. Very aggressive from Dark Passage. And I think to be expected, the Chiefs pretty much sticking to what they've played a lot this season.
This is the one thing about the Ahri versus Victor matchup, though. If Naru ever gets an advantage in this lane and he walks into Fog of War, if the Chiefs don't have excellent vision control, there's no way that Swiffer can leave the lane and check into Fog of War because the assassination threat there is just way too high.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's why we talk about the pinnacle of aggressive control mages is Victor. The other ones, like the Orianna and Lulu, they can kind of chase because they have shields for themselves.
Exactly.
Victor doesn't have that. He has a lot of damage, a lot of wave clear, but face-checking brushes is not fun, especially when there's an Ahri on the other team.
No, I will have to expect both the junglers to get quite proactive here. Gragas, a pretty standard pick there for Spooks. He'll just be trying to keep his lanes up, especially if there's a lane swap. A lot of that control is going to be important. But Crystal wants people dead. I can tell you that much with the Lee Sin pick.
Well, the other really big thing is by taking the Lee Sin, he's protecting Naru. So think about how the Chiefs beat Dark Passage the last time. It was to put the captain, put the shot caller down, continually gank his lane. By taking a very aggressive, very powerful early jungler, Crystal's offering a lot of protection to Naru in that 2v2 scenario.
Certainly is, and Captain Naru is going to have one hell of a game with his squad behind him here. Dark Passage are going to play what is possibly their last game, and the Chiefs will play their last game of the day. They'll await their spot in the finals tomorrow, no matter what happens. But getting a big win over a powerhouse team is important here. And for Turkey and Dark Passage, it's just everything on the line.
It looks like it's going to be standard lanes here. Although now Swiper is moving down. Everyone's had very good vision of each other. They like to give the 3 Raptors over to Swiffer. They like to lane swap or get Ejim that level 2 to be able to pick on Naru. We saw it last time around. But this time it looks like a little bit more of a standard start out of both teams.
Well, Naru
in fact, it's Dark Passage lane swapping.
Goodbye. Raiders still on the bottom side, but yeah.
This is the biggest mind game ever. Chiefs have done it all series long. Finally look for a 2v2 lane, and Dark Passage no bout.
Well, it's curious as to think who actually wants the lane swap here or wants the 2v1 lane, but it's going to be Dark Passage to get it, I guess.
The one advantage is that the Chiefs will have superior tower pushing with the satchel from Tristana. That said, it will bypass usually a tough lane phase for Vayne to get her into that kind of mid-game power spike with the Blade of the Rune King completion. So it's not worst case scenario, but the Chiefs will have the advantage if they can execute on tower pushing.
Yeah, they definitely will, and they also start on the wrong side of the map. You can see that the Dark Passage lineup, they're starting on their weak side of the map where the duo is for the Chiefs. Already Rydell wards out the red buff. That means that a potential 3 buff start will happen if the Chiefs do not scoot over there incredibly quickly. And in fact, even if they do, they're probably going to die. So just give it up. Farm out as best as you can. Little camps are just as worth more gold, just as much experience at this stage of the game.
But this is also why we see Naru so far forward in his lane, trying to get the shove into Swiffer because he wants to force this Victor to be held down so his team can secure this 3 buff.
And sorry, Ejim, you're a little bit late arriving to the red buff, so 3 buff will occur. See whether the Chiefs go for a gank instead.
I wonder if Ejim can want us to defend as well. It's going to be tough here, Spooks.
How much do they blow here for Naru? They're all there. Naru is like out of his lane on the other side of the map.
He knows.
Yeah, certainly does here.
Really good adaptation from Naru, though.
But right here, Swiffer held the wave, so that's a lot of CS actually denied if he's able to pull this off.
But unfortunately, Spooks is going to get the bad news on the buff front. He'll go start his Krugs, but start the Dark Passage Krugs, but he'll lose his red buff. And we might be moving into 2 different 4v0s.
I was going to say, the adaptation here is to pull the trigger on the 4v0 on the bottom side of the map. Take this tower, rotate into Dragon because you have the numbers advantage on the bottom side, and try to do a 1-2 punch on Tower, Dragon for your early rotation in response to the 3-0.
Oh, Tristana, he's going to line things up there, has that explosive charge, does good damage to the turrets early on. But we're going to be in some sort of race here. Dark Passage eating through the top tower armor pretty well, but the Chiefs do have a slight edge. Spooks is already wandering towards the Dragon. He might be thinking about starting it soon. The Chiefs will get the first turret, but the race is on, and Dark Passage are not far behind.
And it depends. Do Dark Passage right now continue to push if they think the Dragon's been started up? If so, they will run into the 2v2 matchup. They're going to continue to shove the Chiefs, actually. They think they win this race.
We're going to get the tower now with Dark Passage. Chiefs, I think, tonight some CS and then take it in the bottom side there as well. So 1 apiece now. Swiffer still lining up against Naru as Rydell's going to pay a visit, but the Dragon's not there.
Frankly, this is a mistake from the Chiefs. They should have just collapsed onto the Dragon Pit, especially because Spooks had just secured the Scuttle Crab, and they still had vision on Dark Passage on the top side of the map, securing the trade for tower. So kind of a misstep there, but they're going to go ahead and rotate their dual lane to the top side of the map.
Yeah, they want to continue to shove as hard as possible, and they wanted the wave to bounce deep. What that means is that Swiper has an extra couple of minutes to roam around the map, maybe look for a twisted advance gang before he has to go bottom. And the wave should be relatively the same size unless it is hard shoved by the Vayne. So that's a little bit different of an adaptation. You can bounce it short and just stack up 1 creep wave. As you can see right now, 2 are crashing in for the Chiefs. That means it'll be pretty much a super wave for Dark Passage, and unless they can get on the turret, it will be a very deep freeze for a long time.
And hard shove is not really in the Vayne playbook in the early levels, so probably not going to see that. So a smart move there for Chiefs. We'll see what they can do to Elwin. Hook just short there onto the Fizz. Good spacing
Who
there.
are you and what have you done with Agent?
Well, has to recalibrate after all those games, it looks like. But Swiffer starting to keep control in the mid lane, pushing Naru in, preventing some of that movement in the Chiefs. Going to move a lot of their strength back to the top side as Swiper has walked down to the bottom lane now.
Yeah, Spook's actually pulling so much pressure that Crystal is wandering up the lane.
There are a lot of members of Dark Passage here.
They're going to try and go in for it. Elwin, though, going to jump in onto Ejim. The damage is good. Elwin, he'll get first blood as Radier. Going to try and collect somebody else, but he's been exhausted as Crystal. Going to keep rushing in. Swipers come in, but it might be late. Crystal's going to chase. He misses the Q, but he gets him with the easy. Tags him with the edge of the AoE. Now Crystal's here, but Naru's going to find Spooks. He'll get the kill. Ryder will flash. He's lining up the CC. The Pulverize will land. The Q will land as well. The headbutt completes, and Elwin will swoop in for another kill. That was disaster for the Chiefs.
Yeah, an absolutely horrid early game now, 4-0. Double the extra start they gave Dark Passage last time around, and it's a 2,000 gold advantage, not to mention all the extra farm that Vayne was just able to pick up. Not great play from the Chiefs.
Just to echo my statements from previously, there was no reason to make a play on the top side of the map. The Chiefs should have closed in on the Dragon, but Ejim, trying to compensate, is now looking for Naru in the mid lane.
Ultimate and flash here though for Naru, so going to be a bit tricky. Ejim's going
no
to
mana.
make his presence known, looks for it, but guesses wrong there on the movement. Tried to make Naru juke, I think, but was not falling for it.
Naru still had flash. Didn't have the mana for the ultimate, it looked like, but in the end, this is a huge top side of the map advantage. 3-0-1 for the Fizz. All of a sudden, Maokai, who was like, I can kind of survive this lane, was like, nope, I'm not going near him.
Yeah.
On top of that, also the 23 CS to 8, the difference between Elwin and Swiper. And again, this is his signature champion.
Yeah, that Fizz, certainly a very big one there for him. Radier going to keep pushing things in. He's got a pickaxe. He's getting a little bit stronger, but the Chief's going to have to try and recover because Elwin's had a massive start.
Yeah, he certainly has. All of a sudden, Sheen, makings of the phase. That's going to be an incredibly quick Trinity Force for a lane swap situation. Rydell and Zeitnot now join Radier and Ejim in the top lane. Chiefs need to be careful that they don't get ganked up here. Zeitnot level 6, killing potential out to Wazoo.
Yep, absolutely. With the Build Water Cutlass completed already. Didn't get any kills or assists on that little scuffle, but it's got plenty of early farm. And Vayne always a threat in any sort of 2v2, especially at this stage. But just to reiterate as well, we actually got it slightly wrong at the top of this game. It's not just the Dark Passage are out if they lose. If Dark Passage win, Detonation Focus Me are out. And the slot now goes between the Bangkok Titans and Dark Passage's Zeitnot just gets out of the way. So there's a lot more on the line than just Dark Passage's future.
So here we go. Final hours popped.
Yep, looking forward onto Radius. Silver Bolt's is good. Egypt has to get up, but a great flash from Zeitnot's going to secure the condemn, and he'll clean up the kill.
And we talked about Zeitnot's Vayne. It's just a flawless performance from him. He already has the lead, not only with taking the kill, but the fact that he was isolated on opposite ends of the map of all of the action, so an experienced lead going forward.
Yeah, and talking about an experienced league, look at the top laners right now. Swiper has been frozen out for so long. Trying to make a play again. This is hard.
Oh, Spook's good flash though. Radius going to come in as well.
Right.
Teleports out, and Elwin, he's not quite level 6, but he will rip you to shreds. Swiper going to be the first target. Doesn't like this much at all. Will get taken out. It is enough there from the dot. Egypt's Lantern, not quite there.
Elwind is just a monster right now. If teleport is up, if it ever comes to a 4v4 or 5v5, Elwind is there. They cannot fight right now.
Yeah, he's 2 levels up. He's 4 kills up. He's about 30 CS up. Everything you don't want on a Fizz early game if you're the Chief is now occurring. And you can see why this is a respect ban time and time again. Chief's not respecting Elwin and it's making him pay.
Swiffer grabs the Lantern. Just in time there for the EGM Express. Naru's still going in. Hook will miss. Chaostorm not there. And Naru's going to get himself the kill. Spooks doesn't have flash. He can't follow. And Naru gets a nice clean 1v2 kill, mate. Not quite enough for 2. Does land the charm as DP get the dragon. Everything is going right for them.
And we talked about this. Dark Passage playing from the back foot. This is their last chance for survival in the tournament, and they come out swinging.
I mean, you look at their picks. Not particularly surprised. I like the change up here. I'm surprised it's taken this last possible game for them to really get there, but you can see the, I mean, the Elwin pick's an anomaly. That probably shouldn't be there, but Lee Sin, Ari, Vayne, these big aggressive picks that are comfy for these players.
Well, the resume this team has on the international stage, showing up when the pressure counts. We talked about this. This is not a team the Chiefs want to face in the finals through a best-of-5 because they have the experience to come back from last-second decisions.
Right now, looking good. Chiefs going to keep 2v2ing, but Zeitnot's only getting stronger. CS is relatively even in the top lane, but 1 kill and an assist going to give Zeitnot a lead, and he's almost got that Blade of the Ruined King. We look around as well. Warriors completed for Crystal. Luden's Echo's on the way there for Naru. And Elwin will not be far off that Trinity Force. He's above Spooks here in levels, and he's bullying him out of his own jungle.
He's literally just going hunting right now.
Yeah, he was just wandering through, seeing if he could pick up a stray Gragas. Fat Man would taste pretty good. It is lunchtime.
It is lunchtime.
Lunchtime.
It's always lunchtime with Fizz. And Elwin, he's had a couple of snacks. He's got 4 kills already. I think he might be ready for a full meal. And Swiper, he's going to teleport. He'll try and make a play here onto Naru. I think Crystal's trying to get out as Rydell's face taking a couple people from the Chiefs, but Swiper just can't do anything, has to lantern away.
And it's because all of the lanes of Dark Passage in the top and the mid are pressured forward. So even though the Chiefs had a numbers advantage there by the fact that Swiper had his teleport but Elwin didn't, they're just too strong. They'd get there before the members were consolidated.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, being able to take the inside lane and rotate up through the jungle, especially because Lee Sin, just a better duelist. That's why he was so popular for so long, being able to walk into people's jungle, take them out. As now the dive.
Ooh, going in for it. Naru gets knocked out of the gravity field. Hook not quite there. The Chaos Storm not fast enough. A decent setup there, but Naru's going to dash away. He's going to try and
flash.
Oh, gets charmed though. That's going to slow him down just enough. EGM there with the lantern, and here comes Elwin around the front.
Lunchtime.
Fish will go out, doesn't quite land. Good play there as Rydell gets out. Swiper goes back in onto Naru, able to get the kill as Elwin's been hooked up, but he's just so tricky. Playful Trickster's out there,
here. This
gets
is
the
bad
kill.
for the Chiefs.
And Crystal now going to come back in. Spooks just gets kicked in the face, and Radiant has to rocket jump out.
So the Chiefs overcommit. You know, they started that nicely. They were able to pick up 1 kill, especially because it was onto their starved top laner. But they continue to chase in. They give up the additional kill on Spooks. And now they might even lose the mid lane turret.
Do have Victor there available though, and Vayne, not really known for her siege potential.
Well, this stage of the game, he's got Bork into anything he wants.
Bit of help there from Rydell's passive perhaps. They are going to try and do some damage here. But like you said, Victor with some mana, just enough to clear that up. But Zeitnot's got his blade. Luden's up for Noah. Elwin's got to be close to Trinity Force.
More. Yeah,
yep,
5-0-2
goal already.
I mean, the big thing is now you have 2 champions on the side of Dark Passage that are so good at dueling, and pretty much everyone on the Chiefs, not only gold starved, but experience starved.
Yeah, it's not even that. They just weren't designed to do what the Dark Passage lineup did. They wanted to get to earlier team fights, but Dark Passage with the skirmishes, once again, and we really have to differentiate this with the Chiefs. If it is a 5v5 where they get their line of scrimmage set up, they have all their vision, they perform in team fights very well. Every other team in this tournament just excel at the 3v3, the little scrappy fights that happen around the map, and Chiefs fell into Dark Passage's trap with that turret dive in the top lane. There was no reason to go for it. They pulled the trigger and it bit them so hard this time around.
Well, now Zeitnot maybe caught out of position. Radiant and Swiper going to team up. Final hour might not be enough. He actually bombs straight on top of him. Gets played out, but a Kinev might keep him safe. Never mind Radiant.
Wow.
He's got himself the kill, but Elwin's here. Everybody's backing away. The ult lands onto Swiper. The hook will be dodged, and Elwin picks up his 6th kill. Now Rydell coming up. Good flash from Radiant, but Ejim has to get out. Spooks is here. Don't know if he can use the ulti. Crystal and Nara are going to come up as well, and Nara's going to get that for a 2-1 win.
The crazy outplay from Elwind again, 6-0-3 on this Fizz. The Trinity Force is complete, just some fancy footwork, using his Playful Trickster perfectly to dodge the death sentence in any other form of CC.
Yeah, and this is the great thing about AD Fizz, you know, it's all about his W and how many auto attacks you put into people.
Spook's caught now. It's Crystal and Rydell going to meet Radier as well.
So Crystal actually needs to give a little bit more respect to the jungler of the Chiefs. He's not that far ahead. He's 204 sure, but with the Warrior enchant means that he does a lot of damage, but not much else. So he will back out of the jungle as Spooks gets his red buff.
He's also got the experience lead, but meanwhile...
Ooh, Naru killed there by Swiper as Swift is defending that blue. Dark Passage starting to get a bit too aggressive. They do have a massive lead still. They can't afford to make these sort of mistakes.
They can afford to make a couple
Some
more,
of them,
but
sure.
if it continues this way, it will be bad news. This is kind of what happened yesterday. Dark Passage certainly have a much clearer win condition. Isolate Fizz, let him go nuts around the map. But Fizz, once again, grouping with the team.
Rydell looking for a pick, doesn't find it. Radiant pretty far forward, pushing out these minion waves. The Chiefs know they need to get farm because the momentum is all for Dark Passage right now.
Dragon going to be coming up in 12 seconds. There's
That's
no
a
way
no-go zone.
in hell the Chiefs can contest for that. They could possibly look for a pick. They do have the Death Sentence and the Twisted Advance available, as well as the Cask to help isolate opponents, but this is still very shaky ground. At this point, the Chiefs just need to stall out the game long enough for their big 5v5 AoE competition to take over.
I would actually love to take a look at the gold, because that must be at least 3K on the Fizz right now. It's so early in the game, like maybe 2.5. But he's 60 CS, 4 kills and 2 assists. I'm trying to think of what that actually is in a number.
They're trying to get him. Good Playful
Nice
Trickster.
Playful Trickster.
Hook does land, fishes out as well, finds on the Spooks. They're going to chase him for it. The Ignite's down, they will get the shutdown. Swiffer gets the gold.
Very important that the gold went on to Victor, but meanwhile, Zeitnot able to pull down that tower in the bottom side, so they trade the shutdown gold for the standing structure.
This is the problem. Dragon goes down as well. Might be a 2-for-1 deal on objectives today for Dark Passage. Swiper does swoop in. Should be able to defend this, but they know even if Fizz plays recklessly, they can afford to try and make a play somewhere else, and as a result, they go up in towers now 2-1.
I'm actually watching a man break before me.
Well, Naru moving down. He's going to clear some things out.
This is a Dark Passage I think a lot of teams expected, a lot of people expected to show up in this tournament. They're playing like a fantastic unit, moving cohesively around the map. They're getting a little bit greedy now, which they shouldn't, because the game, it's 5,000 gold, but if Detonation Focus with me showed us anything today, it's not over till the Nexus explodes. And they
Dark
do need to
Passage
be careful.
won that game from the gold deficit, so you would think they'd be...
They would know that one?
Exactly. But here's the thing, though. Dark Passage, like you said, this is the form that everyone expected from them. They were the favorite teams coming into this. A lot of this is on the back that they have comfort champions. Elwin getting his hands on his Fizz, and it really hasn't been banned away from him. He just hasn't chosen to go that direction. So just curious if maybe they were holding it towards the finals, if they thought that they could get through the group stage without expending themselves like that, but it's good to see it now.
Oh, it certainly is, and he's playing it super impressively. Ejim gets chunked out there underneath the turret. Elwin by himself in the top lane, making to the Blade of the Ruined King. Radier seems to be on his cleanup duty. That doesn't seem very fair. Send Swiper back up there.
Swiper right now, I think
Swiper doesn't want that.
taking the safer of the two awful lanes for him right now. Would rather go against the Vayne than that massive Fizz who has the Bilgewater Cutlass as well. Swiper is getting tracked by Rydell and Crystal though, and Zeitnot, he has so much free space right now.
And this is what Spooks loves to do on Lee Sim. Roam between the turrets in the jungle.
Also the Ghost. Ooh, damage out. Wave clear there for Victor. No catch there for the Chiefs. And again, Dark
Another
Passage.
turret falls in the bottom lane. Dark Passive able to zone them away.
Zeitnot's just having his way with the lane right now. He's having fun. We see him do this when he's super far ahead just by himself. Has a bit of out of protection. Spooks has to be careful. Gets tagged, gets kicked back as well. Rydell barely going to miss the pulverize, but Naru's able to clean it up.
Crystal Styles on the Chiefs jungler. They're able to get a pick over the wall. Now Swift is in trouble.
Oh, Flash Charm. Now going to get descended upon Rydell. Going to move in for the kills. Elwin diving into the towers. Radiant has got him marked, but Crystal's going to move up. Radiant needs to get a kill. He goes forward aggressive with the jump. He'll get it out. He'll get headbutted away. And Zeitnot, he's now going to get hooked. Radiant going to move in for another kill, but Dark Passage a little too strong. The Luden's Echo takes out Ejim. And Radiant, he wanted it, but it's a big trade win for
And
Dark
this
Passage.
is what gold gives you, the luxury of being able to dive turrets, escape on no health, the levels, all of the accumulated bonuses they've got. Now 9,000 gold before the 20-minute mark. And the Chiefs are reeling, but Dark Passage really starting to roll.
I certainly admire the play there from Radio on Tristana. He knows they have to take some risks, but we saw this honestly last game with the gold deficit that sort of got built there. It just gets to a point where even if you start to fight, it's just a little too much.
So this is what Spawn was talking about, is that this was all started off by a fantastic play from Crystal over onto the side, so it's already a 4v5 disadvantage, and then they just translate this into a tower dive because they've accumulated so much of a lead through the scanning gold in the structures, through their CS discrepancies, particularly on Element. Naru doing a fantastic job layering the CC, covering that AoE damage, especially with his looting that go proc.
Yeah, it certainly was, and just being able to continually move up the map, be proactive, move forward. You can see Black Cleaver going to be the next item out of Crystal here. He wants it all. Dark Passage, 8,000 gold up at this stage of the game. Means that all of a sudden Chiefs are splitting farm between their jungler and their AD carry. This is not looking promising at all for a team that would have loved to stream into the finals. Now going to go in on what will be most likely a back of a loss.
Yeah, Hype Train might be getting a bit wobbly now, as Dark Passage looking very strong at the final hour here. But game not over, we've seen it before. And things can happen, crazy things can happen, and like you said, Dark Passage know that best. Dragon up in a minute 30 though, Baron now alive, and probably an objective that the teams, at least Dark Passage, can think about in the next few minutes if they want. But they're only getting stronger.
Miracle Turtle?
Miracle Turtle. Franklin.
the
Summon
Miracle
your
Turtle.
inner Franklin, Chiefs, because Dark Passage really want blood.
Well, they've got a lot of it too, and most of it's onto Elwind. I mean, they've started to give a little bit more love around here. Naru's got some good kills as well, but it all started with this Fizz.
Twice the CS that Swiper does.
He's also got 3 times the kill and 4 times the assist.
That,
But Swiper's got more deaths.
oh, touche.
Got him. Twice as many.
Checkmate.
Checkmate, Atheist.
Well, I don't know if Elwind minds too much there. Got a Blade of the Ruin King on the way, and like we've said, this was something that Swiper was doing to people to get to this tournament in the grand finals of the OPL.
Baron's
we know.
gone.
Yeah, goodbye, Baron. You were not long for this world, unfortunately. Oh, Spook's actually here.
He does have level 10 smite versus Crystal's level 9,
Ooh,
so
he's
Does
in
he
here
go?
as well.
You need to go.
He
has
has
to
to look
go.
for the circle. He's going to go in for it. Oh, no. Zeitnot gets it. Spook's now going to get charmed and condemned to the wall. And they'll get the kill, but he had to try.
No one expects a Silver Bolt proc. Just takes the Baron away. He did get to use the Smite, so it probably was Crystal that didn't use his. But now with a Baron buff, 11,000 gold. Probably lights out.
oh, the feels there when you lose Baron and the enemy jungler doesn't smite, you lose it to the Silver Bolts.
Yeah, the Silver Bolt does a lot of damage at this stage of the game.
That's capped against monsters. So definitely a set amount. But look,
They
Baron.
came so close.
Well, couldn't get it that time. It's Dark Passage to have the Baron buff, and again, all the initiative here in this game. Massively ahead in gold, starting to push out even more. They can put Baron wherever they like. And if you thought Elwind was scary before, just wait till you see him with a purple blade and a purple buff.
The thing that I want to point out is that Black Cleaver, I believe you pioneered this build, Spawn.
This is my build. I'm so happy right now. He's using it to kill my people.
He's literally in tears. He's like, I'm just so happy.
So we've seen a bit of Warrior Lee Sin, even though it phased out a bit. If
Yeah.
you do want to be aggressive, it makes sense. A smart choice for Crystal. Why Black Cleaver after that?
Because you're 11k gold ahead.
No, so it's actually not that. If you have an AD carry, think of how Lee Sin uses his ability. He gets his Q on you, he hits a second Q, so that's 2 physicals already. He kicks people back towards him. That's 3 stacks. It's actually a huge bonus damage for your AD carry. Not even joking right now. So I really like it on Lee Sin. I think it gives him some great stats. Why play Lee Sin over Gragas if you're not going to build a little bit aggressive? Because Gragas is a better tank version of Lee Sin there. Has more CC, has disengage. It's AoE as opposed to single target. So Lee Sin's a playmaker and he needs a little bit of threat to go with him. Otherwise, you just ignore him until the 1 kick stage of the game.
Well, there's a lot of threat here on the Dark Passage side, that's for sure. Zeidnot casually split pushing on his own as the Baron minions to help him out. He'll take out the 6th turret of the game now as the Chiefs. They've run out of tier 2 towers. They just have to hope that the base holds up.
Weapons collapsed onto Elwin.
Elwin's dead.
So he's Swiper.
Good collapse, but now it's 3v4. Kind of 2v4 as Rydell leaps in. Zeidnot's firing away onto Spooks. Egypt. Huge flight. Massive hook, but a great QSS keeps him safe. And the Chiefs will hold on for now.
And okay, Dark Passage pulled the trigger there because they see that Swiper committed bottom with Swiper. That was really hard.
Yep.
Swiffer.
Now you know our pain.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, these S-names. Too many resources of the Chiefs committed bottom. They knew they had a numbers advantage on the top side of the map, but a fantastic play from Egypt. But here comes round 2.
Zeidnot still hungry, has plenty of life steal. Just going to tumble away from that explosive charge. Naru firing off to the side as well.
Swiffer, Swiper, Swiffer, Swiper.
That's the one. It used to be worse. It used to be Radiant Rosie. Swiffer, Swiper, Spooks.
You know Swiffer is a mop in America, right?
Really?
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense. Pretty good at cleanup duty.
It's
It's
like
the old
one of
Chief
those
Swiffer.
lazy mops, too. You press a button and like, sprays out stuff.
Describes him this game.
Just a lazy mob. Not getting too much done. I mean, it's hard in general. Dark Passage played such a good early game here. And all they really have left to do is break the base. They've got plenty of room to do it here. A massive gold lead still.
They have like a 37-minute dragon, 5th dragon win condition. They've got a 2nd Baron up in about 3.5 minutes time. Like, they are in no rush whatsoever. If there was a way to build a little bit of morale, of course, they would still love to control their own destiny. Bangkok Titans take the next match. I believe they do go through over Dark Passage. So we'll continue to see how this works.
Yep, that is right there, Spawn. So Dark Passage need to at least win here, because they're absolutely out if they don't win this game. So it starts here, and then you start crossing those fingers. The Chiefs, if they can do it, they can kick out one of the most dangerous opponents, you have to think.
Just what took Dark Passage so long to find their comfort champions and to find their stride in this tournament?
I agree. I'm amazed that this is the first Vayne game from Zeidnot. I mean, Elwin's Fizz, seen a couple bans. I can understand why they would go away from that. But not giving your big AD carry player Vayne at least once so far is very surprising to me.
Especially for how strong Vayne is in the current iteration of the meta.
Yeah, I mean, Brady's been flopping out Sivir all over the place. He's definitely been a bit more of a Kog'Maw player, but look, might not matter now as Dark Passage are at least pulling it out where it counts.
I was going to say, pulling it out when it counts. Back to the wall, they commit.
Ooh, Egypt. The Chiefs are trying everything they can, which is kind of hide in fog of war and see what happens. Zeidnot still split pushing. Swiffer does have the wave clear. They have some tools to drag this out, but
Their win condition are picks, effectively. They're stalling out for time. So yeah, the only time the Chiefs can fight is off the back of a pick in a numbers advantage.
and Radio right now going to chill out in the top lane. He's getting good farm, actually. He's getting stronger, but does need about 3.5 items to really get going. Zeidnot in trouble. Radiant flashes Spooks. Comes in for the cleanup, and Radiant gets the kill.
Yeah, needs to be careful of the creeps. They're still quite strong in this part of the game, but Radiant able to get the outplay. He bought a friend, that's cheating. Swiper also successfully defending his turret, so the game continues for a little bit longer.
Yeah, Dark Passage have not been able to break the base. They had the Baron, and he's back again in 125.
Well, that's the thing that their team is so poor at doing. It's sieging. Again, yeah, if Vayne gets on top of a tower, she can just delete it from the map with her attack speed, but she's a medium range AD carry.
Wow, Nari picked off huge damage. And the alley-oop gives Swiffer a kill.
Hello, Wolf?
13,000 gold lead for Dark Passage now. Let me remind you, I will be the voice of reason on this desk. But the Chiefs able to get a couple back.
Yeah, looking good now. Charging
There's
down
life
mid
in
lane.
the old girl left.
Trying
Yeah.
for the tower. There certainly is.
Get it started, boys.
Radier is going to pull down the turret. 2 items there in the 80 carry roll. 2 for Swiffer. And Swiper still very far behind, but Dark Passage.
And this is going to be, honestly, the second time that the Chiefs lose because they fought in a lane that they didn't have to fight in. Like, against Detonation Focus Me, they fought in the bottom lane, did not have to commit on it. This time against Dark Passage, they just were like, yeah, what the heck, let's go for it. In the end, turns around, bites them. They really need to start playing towards their strengths because they should be a serious contender to win this thing. Dark Passage, one more time, looking at the Baron.
Well, why look for a tower dive and a skirmish as the Chiefs when they're so macro-oriented? Just take the Dragon, boys.
Hey, you're telling me.
Watch the VOD.
Ooh, Elwin caught again now. A Swiper going to chase him out. He'll get fished. Swiffer needs to dodge and he does. Waits for it to go. Flashes forward, goes aggro. Gets the kill. Oh! Playful trickster Elwin. Urchin strikes away and he is barely going to live.
What a legend, Elwin. Oh, man, this guy is nuts on Fizz. I'm not even mad. 7, 3, and 4. I'm glad I got to see this.
Well, it's been working out so far. It's all but the Nexus now for Dark Passage. Dragon up, Baron up, good to go as far as objectives going. Crystal's already started.
Yeah, teleport on Elwin. No way Chiefs can approach that one. Also, very good vision control on the top side of the map. So Dark Passage, even though they're, I guess, getting a little bit caught out, it's very hard to play this much of an accelerated game from the lead. You're not used to it. You don't really get where you're supposed to be. You're like, well, we shouldn't even be sieging yet.
Well, they also really need the Baron as a crutch, and so they have to play on that timing window because, again, their composition struggles in the siege of towers, and so the Baron augments and shores that up.
Spook's not here, though. Cleared out some vision around the Baron. Chiefs still trying to keep the relevant vision up, but 4 Dragons now up for Dark Passage. Have all the win conditions in the world, but still pushing down these lanes, not getting it done there.
They can't approach this tower. I mean, Spawn said it himself against medium range 80 carries. Victor just walks up and says hello
We saw
and
that
goodbye.
yesterday. Literally.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the concern there. They have to have the Baron to help them siege a tower, because if Zeitnot ever goes up to hit that, he already got 1v1 outplayed by Radier. Imagine what Swiffer will do with him.
Yeah, and you know, I cannot stress this enough when you were the sole person behind. So much of the responsibility is now on Elwin's shoulders. He's 120 CS off.
He's
as
all
well
of
as
their
4
gold
kills.
lead.
He's all of their gold lead, which means that Spooks is relatively close to Crystal, and Swiffer will just destroy Zeitnot. Zeitnot is not designed to go up against Swiffer.
That's the important thing to underline here. If Elwin isn't in a fight, if Elwin gets caught out, that's the entire Dark Passage gold lead. If he's ever mispositions or misplays, it's pretty much even footing.
We saw that in the game that Dark Passage beat Detonation Focus Me in. Same story, Udapon and Seros. Oh, Egypt caught. Naru looking for the kill, can't dodge everything. Naru's going to collect it as Dark Passage will claim the Baron.
Yeah, Baron number 2. They go back over the wall. Naru chasing away the jungler for the Chiefs.
Can't get there in time.
Once again,
Is Elwin
Swiper
still
engages
bottom?
onto Elwin.
Oh, Elwin might get the 1v2. He does get the kill. Baron buff in the Frozen Heart looking good. The perfect hex score. Can't chase fast enough. Swiffer, he just gives up.
You know other teams are going to be watching at this. Elwin should never be allowed to get this champion.
And you know, Dark Passage certainly showing up big, but if you're a Oceanian right now, you're just praying for the Bangkok Titans, because this team is terrifying. This is what we thought would come out of the Turkish lineup. They're going to break the base.
Yep, they've finally got a man advantage. Elwin's going to dive in onto Swiffer. Hook not there. Egypt trying to play him out, but now Zeitnot's going to tag in for the damage. Egypt's going to get melted. Radier hops well and truly out of the way. And Elwin's going to chase Spooks. You can't stop him as they break the base in 2 places.
Well,
Dark
this is the thing. It's his auto attacks. You just can't get away from that.
They're working the Chiefs around the map.
Sticky for a fish. I don't understand.
Fish is sticky.
No, they're slippery.
Is that to him as fortunately for Fizz. That's the thing that's so tricky. Again, we've seen Swiper do it. Elwin's having a game on this Fizz, and we've seen it before. Locally, he's an absolute monster. His wards getting slain everywhere. I'm so sorry for children watching at home. And Dark Passage now going to look for the final inhibitor down the bottom.
You're sorry for the wards? Have you not seen the Chiefs? Elwin has been
The Chiefs will be fine.
Yeah.
some choice words.
Look, the wards are defenseless. The Chiefs can fight back.
Can they?
Oh, is that not? Also back in by Spooks. Swiper going to dive in onto the vein. They need to kill Elwin. He's on top of Radier. He's kind of caught up. But then the turret Swiffer does get him out there. Dark Passage, Naru does slay Swiper, and the rest of the team descends upon the Murray. Gets the dribble. There's the Quadra. I believe. No, Vayne. You stole the pentakill, but Dark Passage, they'll still get the game.
Yeah, they're going to win, and I have some choice words for you. You said if we picked Elwyn, we had a shot. They just massacred the Chiefs in the final push. They will take down the Nexus, and Dark Passage still have life.
To be fair, that was before a couple of towers and global objectives went down. Just
And
Naru's huge. Look at him. He's 9-3 and 6.
whole-
I'm just looking at. I'm pointing frantically at Ari's scoreline
the
here.
whole team's huge. 20,000 gold up by the end of that game. What a performance from Dark Passage. Right when it counted to, again, it sort of took them a little while to wake up, it felt like. But they finally arrived here for what is their last game, and they just smashed the Chiefs.
We talked about the blueprint that the Chiefs used to unseat Dark Passage the first time around. It was targeting Naru. Look at the early game adaptation from Dark Passage. Naru playing to the far side of that lane.
Protecting
Exactly. They completely read the Chiefs like a book and just counterplayed beautifully.
100%, and I'm just really impressed that Dark Passage, backs against the wall, are able to step up. We knew they had it in them, but to be able to bring it out in the game that counted, be able to get some comfort picks finally, be able to dictate the pace of a game to that extent, 20,000 gold, closing out in 27 minutes around that mark. That's a monstering coming out of the Turkish team. And, you know, this is what we're expecting to see out of them. Game on right now. Chiefs, they go down in what was a commanding defeat.
Yeah, and you saw them, you know, try for the smart fights, try for the smart picks. You just can't fall that far behind. Like, even that last team fight in the bottom lane was about as perfect as you could ask from the Chiefs as far as execution goes. And there's just no chance because Naru and Elwyn and the rest of Dark Passage are too far ahead.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is what happens when you run multi-threat comp. Sure, the Fizz went a little bit deep, but 2 threats on the back end still stay alive. They expend so much to take the fish off the map. In the end, Ari comes through, absolutely destroys the rest of the lineup. And, you know, that was a great drafting phase out of Dark Passage. We said even if the Chiefs played it perfectly, it was going to be a hard game to win. They didn't play it perfectly. They played it pretty poorly in the early game. And in the end, Dark Passage smashed them.
And look, again, what we expected from this team. Unfortunately for them, they're out of games now to play. The fate of their future is now in the hands of the last game of the evening. Detonation's Focus Me, I believe, can no longer make it as a result of this win as well. So it all comes down to 2 teams. The Chiefs have 2 possible opponents, Bangkok Titans or Dark Passage.
If I were the Chiefs, I would not be facing the Dark Passage in a best-of-5. That was, I mean, just think of the morale going into a best-of-5 against Dark Passage after that loss.
Yep. I mean, certainly after that game, it's going to be tough. Hype Train might be getting a little bit wobbly. Well, let's throw out to the war room to get a bit more on that game.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. And man, the Oceanic Hype Train took a hit from that particular game. 4 kills so early on in that match.
Look, after a game like that, my koalas are only somewhat raised, to be honest with you, Atlas. It wasn't ideal, but the Turkish side, they honestly looked completely reinvigorated.
Yeah, they most certainly did. This is what we were expecting out of Dark Passage. We heard this from our casting team over and over again. The fact that we had expectations for Dark Passage, and finally we've seen it, but it might be too late.
It may well be too late. Of course, they've still got a chance to make it.
Yeah, but we do have an update, and we'll see how the Hype Train's doing. I'm a little bit worried, Rusty.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this will say. We do have a status update to come in eventually. It'll tell us how our Hype Train is
They are
performing.
really keeping
Hopefully
us on
it's
our
still
toes.
somewhere.
Oh my goodness, we're in trouble. We're not exactly derailed just yet, but if you can imagine it, this train is teetering.
Yeah, we're going around a bend. It's a snowy trail. You know, it could at any moment
slippery when
derail.
wet, something like that. Is it a hype bus now? I don't know what's going on, but I'm very frightened for our Oceanic Hype Train. It is going to be a problem, but look, we'll see whether the Chiefs can get it back on form. Of course, they are in the final, which is happening tomorrow, but this best-of-5 series can be between either the Bangkok Titans or Dark Passage, depending on how this next match plays out. We are guaranteed not to have any tiebreakers, but if Bangkok Titans win, then they take the head-to-head against Dark Passage, and they're going to be through to the final, whereas Detonation Focus Me, they're out, but if they win this game, that is all about Dark Passage, and they're going to be through to represent their region in their hometown.
Yeah, a lot of importance behind this next game, but of course, there's a reason that this is happening at all.
Yeah.
It's because Dark Passage almost derailed our Hype Train. They took one of the most convincing victories I've seen.
Yeah, they most certainly did, and they did so largely to do with this draft. It's so aggressive, and the fact that Elwyn got his Fizz, I'm so glad that we at least got to see it this tournament, because, man, he is so impressive on that champion. Used to play at Teleport Smite, but looks just as good with the Ignite.
Yeah, so there's a very important thing to note about this Dark Passage team comp, but it's not just the skin synergy that they seem to have with the colors that they've got going on. It's the fact that Fizz is a skill matchup in the top lane. He wants to outplay everybody, wants to assassinate you. Lee Sin in the jungle, well, does want to do the exact same thing. Spawn said in the cast is an aggressive playmaking version of a Gragas. Mid lane Ahri, the exact same. Vayne, the exact same. They were playing champions that wanted to win in a 1 versus 1 scenario, outplay you and style on you. That is exactly what they did. And not only that, Atlas, it's their best champions.
Yeah, this is right. And Zeitnot on his Vayne, I mean, we mentioned that as well. Just ridiculous to watch from this Dark Passage lineup. And we do have some clips from the game. We'll go through them. I know it's going to be difficult for us and our Oceanic brethren, but we most certainly have to do it. And let's just watch Elwyn's style on the Chiefs lineup.
This is the first big mistake because Elwyn gets way too many kills from this. We'll roll this one out, and Chiefs, over-aggressive. They had no reason to be top lane right now. Ejim tries to put some damage down onto Elwyn, keep him out of position, but Rydell was already here with Crystal. They'd already made their way here. Radiant tries his best to outplay Crystal, but the Tempest is just going to be there to pick him up. And again, Dark Passage, they find kill after kill here. 3 total, I think it might be 2 total for the Fizz. He had no right getting this many kills, but the reason that he got these kills is a big mistake from the Chiefs lineup. Looking to dive top after they'd already pushed down bottom. They got that bottom turret. They didn't need to go back top. They had no reason to.
Yeah, a little bit of over-aggression there from the Chiefs in their positioning, and they were punished for that the entire game. Yeah. Everything just steamrolled after that. That Trinity Force was so fast for Elwind. No one could enter that lane against the Fizz.
Oh, no, definitely not. It's why we saw Radiant and Tristana attempting to deal with that lane. And I say attempting, take that with a grain of salt, because he couldn't. Nobody could. In saying that, that is the exact moment that the game started to snowball out of control, because the team comp that we saw coming out of Dark Passage was snowball reliant. If the Lee Sin didn't get going, he does nothing until about 45 minutes. If the Fizz doesn't get going, he's slow, waiting for those item spikes before he can become relevant. Same with Ahri. They all played a part in that, and they all started to snowball from that one moment.
Yeah, and I absolutely love the Ahri denial as well. They picked it in their second round of picks on the blue side here, Rusty, and look, Ahri seems to be a huge linchpin for Oceania versus Turkey, and it was the same in the IWCI with Besiktas. Of course, energy there in the mid lane really making that one work when this is Swiffer's signature champion in the mid lane, and he was unable to play it. And I know Spawn spoke about the fact that, still confident in the victor is Swiffer. He's more than happy to play it, but just did not look as good as that Ahri. And admittedly, with a pretty fed Fizz on your lineup, you're going to be feeling okay.
Look, pretty hard to look good as the victor into the Ahri matchup when your whole team is winning. But in saying that, you're right. When he's not on that Ahri, when he's stuck to a control mage style of champion like the victor, it just doesn't feel like Swiffer's unlocked to be his true self, essentially. Yeah. He's stuck on cleanup duty. He doesn't get there in time. The assassins rotate faster than him. And it just works better for the teams when he's not an assassin.
Yeah, well, we do have another replay here. We are going to put it on your screen right now. And this is the Chiefs doing their very best to try and get their way back into the game. But already 6,000 gold at 18 minutes. It's a huge lead.
So I think one of the most important things to point out here is the items that have been completed. So Ahri in particular has a Luden's Echo, has the flash available, and this is where it all begins. So we'll roll this one through. Nari uses the flash, connects immediately onto Swiffer. He gets decimated beyond belief. They continue the dive with Elwind, and this is why the Luden's Echo is important to note, because they make their way back in after Raider does style, takes the Dark Passage to safety. Watch the Luden's Echo here actually picking up Ejim from a charm. Yeah. The fact that they had the extra items, they had the money and the kills to get those items. Of course, the Trinity Force Cutlass was done for the Fizz. Everyone was so far ahead that it lets you dive people as much as you would like, honestly, and get away with it.
Yeah, and I like how you use the irony of taking the Dark Passage to safety there, Rusty.
Yeah.
That was beautifully incorporated in that little speech. And man, Dark Passage lineup looking so strong in this game, and it's a real shame the fact that they haven't really managed to find this form until this particular point. But the Chiefs, if they do have to face off against this Dark Passage squad tomorrow, they are going to feel really shaken up, because as far as momentum goes, this is the Chiefs' final game for tonight. They did finish 4-2, which is a fantastic scoreline, but heading into tomorrow, it's a worry.
And that's why it's very scary. The hype train's not exactly online at the moment, because after a game like that, after losing that convincingly, most importantly, to then go potentially into a best of 5 against that exact team, they're going to be feeling really good. Chiefs, not so much. It does raise that big cause for concern as to how they will go tomorrow. In saying that, it doesn't guarantee that they're going to be the ones playing just yet.
Yeah, well, that's the point, is the fact that the Bangkok Titans now have to face off against Detonation Focus Me for our final game of the night. But we still have one more replay to go through, ladies and gentlemen. This is far more towards the end of the game. And that is a gigantic gold lead. I mean, the calculation in my head is starting to like burn out because it's getting a bit more difficult. But that's 17,000 gold.
Yeah. Whew. So this is, again, you look at this game and you feel bad for Raider a little bit inside, because he tried so hard. He really wanted to win this game, but he just could not do it. The rest of the team was not far enough ahead to deal with it. We'll roll this one out. Dark Passage, ridiculous amounts of ahead. They engage onto Zeitnot. They try and get him down, but meanwhile in the back line, trying his absolute hardest to make something happen for his team. Does so well. But there are so many threats on this Dark Passage side. They're running a 4-threat comp, essentially. The damage-based build from Crystal as well in that Lee Sin. They were just so far ahead that try as Raider might, they didn't look like slowing down at all. In Dark Passage, they just destroyed their way through that.
Yeah, really confident closing.